We're recording.
I'm going to go run up there and give them.
Is it that hard to say, hey, by the way, we're going to screw you over? Even more.
Hey guys,
Hey, what's up?
I'm Oliver Jackson. I'm heading the National Anti-Bullying Tour. I live in Indianapolis. I just came over because I was actually come up here. You got a card or something? Because
No, I
I'm
don't.
actually here
I really
till
don't.
tomorrow. Okay. No, because I'll be at WNIT tomorrow. And so they're going to interview because, you know, we're teamed up with MTV. So we're getting a lot of national
And
press.
what are you here for?
Yeah, I'm actually here for the situation plus, you know, situation for everything that's going on the night little shirts.
Thank you, sir. They've got me running around with my head cut off. I don't even know where I'm at right now, so I apologize for that.
Call the June 24th, 2013 South Bend Common Council meeting to order. We will please rise for the invocation that will be given to us by Councilwoman Karen White.
May I ask that you bow your heads? Heavenly Father, we come before you this day, for this is the day that you have made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you for all things. We ask that you guide this council, that we do what you have appointed us to do, that we keep the issues that are before us, that we give them our full consideration, and that we do what our citizens has elected us to do, that we work in harmony and from a collective point of view. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. I would like to now have Clerk Vorty to please give us the roll.
Mr. Scott, present. Mr. Henry Davis, painter's here. Mrs. Shea. Here. Dr. Furley. Dr. Varner.
Present.
Vice President Davis.
Present.
Councilmember White.
Present.
Mr. Furlick. Here. And President Dieter. 7 present.
Okay. Before we go into any of our other agenda, we would like to announce the bills that will be continued tonight, so that those who are present do not have to stay for those.
Council Vice President Davis, we are also going to be continuing resolutions numbers 1341 and 1342.
Okay. 1341 and 1342. Okay. We have an agenda out there. You can follow along with all of that. So if you came for any of those, particularly I know all those other ones we're going to be dealing with those a little later. Okay. Now we have a report from the subcommittee on minutes.
To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the June 10th, 2013 meeting of the council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved. Signed, Eric Dieter, David Garner.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as stated.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say sign. Okay, our special business, representing the city administration tonight is Captain Lewis. There she is, okay, thanks. Thanks for being here. Okay, at this time, we will now resolve into the committee of the whole. I'd like to make a motion to move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's carried.
The Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council's meeting where bills are given a second reading and public hearing. In addition, you will hear from the chairperson of the committee where the bill was discussed and the results of their discussion. If the proposed ordinance is a zoning ordinance, a report from a staff member of area plan will be given. In all other situations, the formal presentation on the proposed ordinance will immediately follow the committee report. The former presentation shall be on time. I do ask that the council members that when petitioner is before us, that you would only ask questions of the petitioner that pertains to the project that is before the council. Each council member will have ample opportunity to express your concerns, your support after we have completed the public hearing. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion regarding Bill 16-13.
Move that it be continued until 7/8 request of petitioner.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Bill 16-13 will be continued until July 8th as requested by the petitioner. I will now entertain a motion regarding Bill 20-13.
Continue that indefinitely.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Mr. Vorty, would you please give second reading to Bill 21-13?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for approximately 85 acres located at the southeast corner of Sample Street and Prairie Avenue, Councilmanic District 6 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Is there a committee report? This is CNA.
The Zoning and Annexation Committee met this afternoon, with Dr. Fred Furlick chairing that, and we bring that Bill 2113 to the full council with a favorable report.
Thank you so much. Is there a report from your plan?
Kristen Nader with the Area Plan Commission, offices on the 11th floor. This project is commonly known as Ignition Park. It was before the Plan Commission and the council in 2010. There have been a few changes made to the legal description, and that would be the inclusion of these 4 or 5 lots at the northeast corner. That's the Hamilton Towing site, that they're shown as GI on this map. And then the exclusion of this piece that is currently known as PUD, that is not covered by this new PUD. And just to give you kind of an update on how things have been progressing out there, that first aerial we have is from 2011, and this is from Google Maps, kind of pieced together newer aerials. As you can see, all the buildings have been demolished. Up in here, we have the new road that says Ignition Circle. running through. This is the Data Realty site that's a new building that's built there since March 8, 2012 when it got its final approval. And this is view of the site and of the new building. This is the addition that Hamilton Town has northeast corner. This is the general site plan. This site plan shows very minimal things, setbacks, road layout, things like that. There is an exhibit that includes all of the uses, setbacks, things like that. That's what we're making the changes to. The changes that are being made are to add the uses of childcare, medical and dental clinic, and hotel, removing the minimum height of the buildings, reducing rear and side setbacks, and changing the way that parking is calculated. Comes to you with a favorable recommendation from the Area Plan Commission. This preserves the overall intent of the addition part, so.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions of petitioner? Thank you so much. We'll now move to the public hearing portion. I'm sorry, the petitioner. We ask you state your name and address, please.
Good evening, I'm Michael DeVita, planner with the City of South Bend's Department of Community Investment with offices on the 14th floor of this building. I'm here representing the petitioners. To assist developers or property owners in developing Mission Park, some minor revisions are being made to the existing PUD. The intent of this PUD remains the same for a high technology park. But as Krista covered, the proposed PUD adds a limited number of uses complementary to high-tech uses, reduces some minimum setbacks, removes the minimum building height requirement, and reduces the minimum parking requirement. The new PUD language reflects fully the master plan finalized in 2012, simplifies the administration of the PUD, and adds a portion of the Hamilton Towing property falling south of Sample Street, which is owned by the redevelopment commission. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions from the council.
Council members, do you have any questions of petitioner? Thank you so much. We're now moving to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone present wishing to speak in support of Bill 21-13? Seeing no one, is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition? Again, I see no one. The public hearing is now closed. Council members, what is your pleasure?
Make a motion to move 2113 to full council favorable.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, I hear your vote.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Bill 21-13 will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Mr. Gordon, will you please give second reading to Bill 27-13?
Public hearing on a bill to vacate the following property. The alley to be vacated is the first east-west alley south of Donmoyer Avenue from the west lot line of Lot 4, Forest Hill Edition, and east lot line of said Lot 4 for a distance of 40 feet and a width of 16 feet.
Is there a committee report?
The Public Works and Property Vacation Committee met this afternoon, and we bring this to the full council favorable report.
I see we have a petitioner that's before us. Can you please state your name and address and give us a brief summary of the proposal that's before us?
Yes, Ms. White, I'd be glad to. My name is Jeffrey Gritton, and representing the Livingstone's Church at 718 Don Moyer Avenue in South Bend 46614. My position is pastor of ministries. It's an administrative position, and we're requesting the allocation of a plot of land that is 16 by 40 between our property and the property to the north of us that's landlocked on both sides. It's kind of like a no man's land. We're requesting the vacation of that property so that we can square off our fence lines, and we'll be sharing the 16-foot wide allocation with our neighbor to the north. It will take 8 feet, and we'll take 8 feet.
Council members, do you have any questions of the petitioner? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll now move to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone present wishing to speak in support of Bill 27-13? Seeing no one, is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition? Again, I see no one. The public hearing portion is now closed. Council members?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, I hear you vote.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Bill 27-13 will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. I need to ask our council attorney, has this been accepted as a third sub?
It is not.
Okay, Mr. Vorty, will you please give Bill 18-13 a second reading, please?
Public hearing on a bill of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Chapter 6 of the South Bend Municipal Code by the inclusion of new Section 6-6-6.6, 6-6.7, and 6-6.8, addressing soils and water table review as required as a part of the permit process.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to hear the third substitute of Bill 18-18.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Is there a committee report?
Yes, Madam Chair. The Public Works and Property Vacation Committee met this afternoon, and we bring the third substitute to the full council in favor of the board.
Thank you. At this time, I believe you're the petitioner. Would you please state your name and address?
That's correct,
Give a
Madam Chair.
summary of the third substitute bill that's before us.
My name is Oliver Davis. I reside at 1801 Nash Street here in South Bend in the 6th District. And first of all, I would like to thank the other co-sponsors, first of all, Derek Dieter, Karen White, Jim Scott, who joined in with this, and also the council members who came to the different meetings that we held out at the Rum Village area. And this bill came out of the different meetings that we had earlier this year, where different neighbors suggested ideas. Councilman White and Councilwoman White and Councilman Scott shared that we would come together and come up with a bill. And this is the bill that we have worked along with the city administration. I'd like to thank Mayor Pete, Chuck Bulow over at the building departments, and all those, our legal team for helping us put this whole bill together. This has been our third revision. It shows that we have taken the time. Thank our attorney, Cassie Fair, for us working on this together. Some of the key highlights of Bill 1813. In Section 1, it says before a permit is issued to build or construct any new dwelling or building within the city, the person submitting the application shall review the Indiana Department of Environmental Management item list of sites with significant water withdrawals or an equivalent of the item list to determine the building or dwelling's proximity to such significant water withdrawal sites, defined as groundwater withdrawals of 100,000 or more gallons per day. Another key point that we'd like to look at is Section B. Upon the building commission's review of the applicant materials required to be submitted, and if constructed site for the building or dwelling is located within 1 quarter-mile radius around a wellhead where there exists confirmed operations with a significant groundwater withdrawals, defined as 100,000 or more gallons per day, map depicting the wells registering pumps over 100,000 gallons per day in the vicinity of South Bend being maintained in the building department. C, the building commissioner shall also review as part of the building process in addition to the requirements set forth in this chapter. The section that we added, that we talked about this afternoon, is Section 667, new wells requirement of affected areas. Before a new well is issued in the city, a soils and water table review shall be made to the Director of Public Works. Section that also includes areas of fluence defined as in chapters 1/4 mile radius around the wellhead. All property owners within the area of influence of any proposed new well shall be notified 30 days of any submission to the city. In the next section, it says the St. Joe County Health Officer and the Director of Public Works shall be notified at least 30 days prior to the decommissioning of any water well. I would like to also thank the County Health Department. The County Health Department went out and helped several of the homes that were dealing with issues of problems in the basements as they dealt with throughout the holiday seasons. And they taught them how to deal with the mold and other issues that were found in the homes. Since whenever a water well has been improperly decommissioned or discontinued for use and does not have a formal inactive status, the St. Joe County Health Officer and the Director of Public Works should notify the owner of any costs incurred for such noncompliance. And so therefore, you have in this bill an attempt to crystallize the different issues that we heard from the neighbors in the meetings that we held in the Rum Village area at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, 2013, along with work from the council and along with work from the city administration. Thank you all for that. And at this time, present this bill to you.
Council members, do you have any questions of the petitioner? Councilmember Henry Davis.
Sure. So, Councilmember Oliver Davis, this is basically just putting some restrictions in place as it relates to this adding a well to a given area, correct?
Not just adding a well to a given area. It looks at the whole concept of notification. One of the biggest challenges that we've had over in the 6th District in that area is that many of the people have complained that they did not realize that the water tables that were artificially being drawn down due to the new energy site. And so this, if you have something like that again in the city of South Bend, whether it's in the 6th, 1st, wherever it is in the district, and that is artificially drawing down the water, and that's taking place, those citizens will be notified about that. They have a responsibility to be notified. You have over there in the area where the water tables for the groundwater was at 5 feet, but it was artificially being drawn down to where it was 8 feet. So as soon as the pump stopped, the waters came back up, and that's why you had all those issues. So therefore, if this happens in the 1st District, 2nd, 3rd, or whatever, for the different areas, we have maps of all the wells across the city, the area. If it happens that something's artificially drawing down the water, that they will be notified.
Right, and so that was a perfect segue to my next question as it relates to this. The ethanol plant situation was a bit of an extreme example, given the amount of gallons of water that was being pumped out per day. It was millions of gallons, wasn't it, a million gallons per day or something like that? It was in the excess of, if I remember correctly. But neither here nor there, the scale that has been produced is for 400,000 or more. So clearly there was already some sort of like regulations that were set in play in order for people to be notified. My question is that could that extreme example happen in any other place in the city outside of where it happened at?
Well, when you look at it, the maps that were provided to the council, and then what we worked on a couple of years ago, it showed that this area in the state of Indiana has one of the highest groundwater issues. South Bend city of South Bend is a water city. They're all over the city that we have different wells and other issues. And if any of those wells got turned off, it could cause some other of those issues. So therefore, as we saw in the 6th District section, there's a well that was right near the Sample Street and Olive area. When that one got turned back on, it helped those who were dealing with the business areas right up there, right up the corner. What's the name of that business? What's the business right there? Cannot come to my mind right now. It'll come to me a little bit later, but I'll tell you that. But anyway, but it helped the business right up there. The neighbors said it didn't help them where they were because the drawdown on the water was not good enough to where they were dealt with. And so therefore, we have wells in all of these different places, and the city has control of that. And so therefore, if they're turned off or if they're turned on, this bill will help people to notify those kind of situations. And you alluded to the fact that there was already a bill in place to notify people. There was not, to my knowledge.
I'm saying, I'm sorry.
You shared in your comments that there was something already put in place to notify people.
I was asking.
No, there has, to my knowledge, and I can ask our attorney to share that, this bill would be fresh in that kind of a state. Council, not going to call you council person, attorney Satansky.
That is correct. I think one of the important items that this sets forth is a systematic process of checking all of the St. Joe County soils maps, all of the wetland maps, the floodplains, which are currently regulated through the floodplain chapter 21, and also the watersheds, because those are all critical. And as Councilmember Davis noted, it's for any building that is going to be a new building or a dwelling located within these specific areas. The other item, if I may, so that the building department has adequate time to do outreach and education, the bill will, if the council votes favorably this evening, it would not become effective until July 15th, so that we can have that outreach.
So I,
And one other thing real quick, it's still warehouse, because they are right up the street there on Olive. And so when we turn back on that well, because they were also having water problems, a lot of the attention got focused all on Prosper and Calvert Street, but their business was also having problems. And so when that well got turned back on, that took that situation off the map. And so therefore, wells were all over the city, and we asked for that map to be included in there. And so it was not just on the issue of Calvert, but when that well, which was automatically off, sometimes they adjusted, they have some different formula in public police that they deal with for that matter. And so in order to alleviate that situation and to help, they turned that well back on and they fixed it. That covered just that one section, but it was not enough drawdown on it to cover the homes that were down there. And so that's why there's been proposed that will be coming before us next month to help us have some wells in that area.
so, I think I just like lost it at this point. Does the building department, because when this took place, and I remember initial conversations, that when this took place, that this particular issue was a matter of enforcement or someone making sure that they were reading through proper protocol, because there were underground aquifers, or still underground aquifers that are in play that led to all this, or bringing the water to that we're dealing with. So in knowing that, is the department itself staffed correctly, or with enough people to make sure that these things won't happen again in that area?
I'm hoping so. You would like to share something on that, Attorney?
Again, I don't know.
I don't see Chuck Bulow. He spoke this afternoon, and he was all in favor of it, but since he's not here,
I can
anybody from
verify
administration?
that in the meetings that were held between the city administration as well as legal department and myself, that Mr. Bulow was fully engaged in all of those discussions, and he did not indicate otherwise, that he did not have enough staff to go forward.
And so,
We've asked him if he had any, we requested of him several times that if he had some more concerns. And in one reason we've had the third revision is because Mr. Bulow did have some concerns of the, and so
No, it's Mr. Burley in area planning.
I'm talking about before. So the very first one he did address some concerns when we first did that, because that was printed in the South Bend Tribune, that we were not talking together. And so therefore, we slowed everything down to make sure that everybody clearly understood that we were there. So we first addressed his concern, then we came back again and then we addressed Mr. Burney's concern. So therefore, we addressed Mr. Burney's concerns, we addressed those concerns. So my concern is that they would have brought that up if they did not have the right staff in place to deal with it, because we asked.
my last question is, and this is just, hinting at what was before us. Upon passage of this, if this passes through tonight, does this provide a solution and a correction to the folks that suffered this tragic incident back in November?
Just the way I look at that answer. Two things. The bill that we had that came before us a few weeks ago addressed that issue in terms of the fact that they had wells coming into the area. And we're going to fund that hopefully in that bill that will be coming up to us in July. And so this council, as we look from our Public Works Department, took on two issues. We took on issue number one to provide relief to everybody currently. And those currently issues will hopefully, as our Public Works Director, Eric Horvath, said, those wells, we have the funding comes before us in July, the bidding goes out, and by the time we get to October, those wells, hopefully there would be between 1 through 4 wells, depending on the nature of how the drawdown on them. It may only be needing only 2. We may need 3 or we may need all 4, but it's the maximum he thinks it would be 4. So that will take care of all of the issues out there. There's one home I've been out there where currently the water is still having some problems in the 6th district in that area. So the current pumping of the station has not yet addressed that one home situation. So they're still to this day, right now, having flooding problems. I've been there and I've still seen that. But with the wells in place in October, that situation will be taken care of. So we are putting something in place as a council and as a city administration to take care of everybody who's already out there who is suffering. Secondly, this one helps us to look forward and helps us to make sure that nobody has to go through that. So we are being proactive and at the same time reactive, which is good. We're reacting to something that happened and we're being proactive to something. So these combinations of both of these bills, of what we presented before plus this one tonight, are really the left hand and the right hand joining together to make a good team.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. We'll now, if there's no other questions from council members, we'll now move to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone present wishing to speak in support of third substitute bill 18-13? We ask you to come to the podium, you state your name and address for the record, please.
Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. I attended a few of the meetings out at Rum Village, and I also had the opportunity to speak with several of the homeowners who were affected throughout the course of this. And the suggestion of the wells that came up, and I just want to kind of let Henry know, when we install septic systems for the county, they have to do a soil test, they have to look at water table maps, they have to look at all that before we can install a septic. That's something that's very pertinent when you're building a house too. If that would have been looked at prior to those homes being built, and somebody said, hey, water table's normally 5 foot, so therefore you can't put a full basement underground, it would have solved that issue. So hopefully from what Oliver said with this bill, they're going to make sure that water tables are addressed through the building department also before buildings are built. So I think this is a great idea. You guys should pass this unanimously.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else present wishing to speak in support of this bill? Seeing no one, is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition? Again, I see no one. The public hearing portion is now closed. Council members?
I just wanted to make a comment.
Okay. I'll go straight down to
Okay.
First District Councilmember Tim Scott.
Yes, I'm proud to work with Oliver Davis, Karen White, and Derek Dieter on this bill, and also the city administration, the building department. This came up before utilities when I was chair. I was happy to turn it over to Oliver, and he did a great job leading the issue with new energy, which led to this bill. It was conversations really with Mike Stool, and the whole idea was, let's make improvements to our city, let's make improvements to our laws that, based on issues that has happened. Led by Oliver Davis, there is a good solution moving forward for Calvert Street and the residents in that area. And the last thing we want to do is repeat that scenario somewhere else. So what this bill allows us to do is look at the history. No one did that at the time when they built those houses. And so many times we sell off farmland and people are putting up houses and then this is an after effect. We don't want that to happen going forward. So this bill allows us to look at history going back around those wells or around any industry, what the water table was before they were there. So we have a good understanding, if they do shut down, what that water table will be like in the future. So it is being proactive. It's looking towards the future. It's taking a bad situation and not being able to repeat it. This was a very good collaboration. What it allows us to do is really put the ownership and the due diligence on the building, or the builder and the developer, to come to the building department and say, here is my information and data. So I think the staffing will be minimal. I think Mr. Bulow is quite happy with the staffing he has and how they handle this data. But it's on the ownership of the builder to come and say, here you go, here's the data, and for them to check it off. We did not want to put the burden on the building department to go out and research all this. If someone wants to build something, they need to come with that data. But honestly, it was a good effort by all. I thank everybody for working on this.
Thank you. Councilmember Davis.
Yeah, thank you. The reason why I was asking all those questions was for a point. It was not to make it seem like I was sniping at the bill that's before us. When those folks went through over there in the ethanol plant area, it has to be one of those tragic situations a family can ever go through. Your house, it goes underwater literally. And so, what I was getting at is that in conversations with folks who are developers, thinking that this will be adding more red tape in there, Mr. Davis just got up, Jay Davis just got up and just stated a few seconds ago, those things are already asked for. So, as extreme as that situation was, it can happen again. And the reason why it can happen again, minus what's on the books, somebody overlooked what their job was supposed to be prior to saying yes to that development. And that goes in, that's directly involved with the enforcement of any law that's on the books. So it doesn't matter how many laws that we write on the books, somebody has to be actively engaged in making sure that those numbers are looking the way they're supposed to in order for those things not to happen. I'm not saying this is a bad piece of legislation. What I am saying is that it could happen again if no one or someone that's in those positions to make sure that these things happen again are actually doing their job. And somebody clearly either A, dropped the ball, was either paid off when that situation was developed, what have you. But it happened. So I commend you in your efforts, but I really would like to see how will they go about making sure or keeping count of these numbers and making sure that these numbers are in play. And that's not always the case, clearly, because it didn't happen beforehand. And that's why I was asking those questions. It deals with the management of that particular department.
Thank you. Councilman Shea? Councilman O'Brien? Councilman Furley? At this time, we would like to entertain a motion regarding.
So moved.
It's been moved. Need a motion to accept the
We
third.
already did, but we have to be specific that you're recommending third substitute bill 1813 favorably to council.
I move that third substitute bill 1813 go to the full council with favor recommendation. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, may hear your vote.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. The third substitute bill, 18-13, will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Now I would like to entertain a motion regarding Bill 22-13.
Right, I make a motion to continue Bill 2213 until July 22nd, July 8th,
As requested by the petitioner.
as requested by the petitioner.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion as before us, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Bill 22-13 will be continued to July 8th as requested by the petitioner. Now I would like to entertain a motion regarding Bill 28-13.
Yep.
Chairwoman White, I make a motion to continue Bill 2813 until July 22nd as requested by the petitioner.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Bill 28-13 will be continued until July 22nd as requested by the petitioner. Mr. Gordon, would you please give second reading to Bill 29-13?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Chapter 19, Article 61, Section 19-61, subsection A of the South Bend Municipal Code as to limited sale of alcoholic beverages in public parks.
Is there a committee report?
Yes, this came before the park committee this afternoon and was sent to the full council with favor recommendation.
Thank you. We have the petitioner that's before us. We ask that you state your name and address and give us a brief summary of this bill, please.
My name is Randy Nowacki. I'm the Director of Operations for South Bend Municipal Golf Courses. My office is located at 4016 South Federal Street, South Bend. I'm here today to request the change to the current ordinance to allow the sale of alcoholic beverages at Eldell and Birkin Golf Course only. We currently carry a three-way license and serve only beer and wine. As we are always looking for new ways to enhance revenue on the golf courses and remain self-sustaining. With this proposed change, we have projected sales to increase $25,000 per year. And the council have any questions?
Council members, do you have any questions of the petitioner? None. Thank you so much. We'll now move to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak in support of Bill 29-13? Seeing no one, is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition? Again, I see no one. The public hearing is now closed. Council members, what is your pleasure?
Mr. 2913, member council, prepare for recommendation.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, I hear your vote.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Bill 29-13 will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. We'll now move to Bill 23-13, which I believe has already been accepted as a sub. Mr. Board, if you please give second reading to substitute Bill 23-13, please.
Public hearing on a bill of the common council of the city of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating the total sum of $34,250 within city general fund number 101 for a new employee position and for professional association dues.
Is there a committee report?
This Madam Chair, the Public Works and Property Vacation Committee had a very confusing hearing. We came with 2313, Mr. King, we came with a favorable recommendation, Mr. King.
Thank you. We'll now ask the petitioner to come before the council and give us a brief summary of substitute Bill 23-13.
Thank you. I'm George King, purchasing manager for the city. My offices are on the 12th floor of this building. And just as a quick overview of the reading there, this is a full-time position at 32 hours per week. The title is the diversity compliance officer to be consistent with the current ordinance. The prorated cost, as was mentioned, is really $29,250 for the position, in addition to $5,000 for 2 professional organization memberships that will add subject matter expertise as well as assist in networking with the duties involved. Those professional memberships will be with the Minority Supplier Development Council as well as the Women's Business Enterprise Council. And I'd just like to emphasize this is a position of action, not record keeping. We're just trying to be proactive, and I believe this will deliver that proactivity of bringing the diversity businesses together with the city purchasing agents, if you will, or the city purchasing opportunities. We want to broker those relationships, try to build economic wealth.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions of the petitioner? Okay. Thank you. We'll now move to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone present wishing to speak in support of substitute Bill 23-13? Anyone present? Is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition? Again, I see no one. The public hearing is now closed. We'll now move to the council for any comments that you would like to make. I'll start with Councilmember Tim Scott.
No comment, I'm good.
Councilmember Harry Davis.
Yeah, and thank you so much. I've been a bit critical about this particular bill because it adds another position to the city's payroll. And as such, given the history of this particular bill and what it's designed to do from its inception from 1986 to 2011 when it was co-written or rewritten by myself and a couple other council members, nothing has really changed. As a matter of fact, I think more frustration has revealed itself as of yet again because folks are frustrated, because people are unemployed, because we are dealing with folks in our unemployment rate, because there are so many other things that go into play when we're dealing with such legislation. We all understand, or if we don't understand, a lot of these things are already federally mandated. And for us to continue to say that we're interested in being more friendly to the minority community would suggest that our numbers will look a lot better, or we will have numbers to show that we're doing a lot better. And each time that this conversation comes up, whether it's a new piece of policy or a new position, we come back later on and say we have to retool it, all the while the numbers continue to slip or there's no gain on the numbers. And so even in looking at this particular piece of legislation and how it compares to the city of South Bend, it's kind of difficult to qualify this as being a priority for the city, given the fact that the city itself and its workforce itself is lopsided as it deals with minority employment giving supervisory roles, giving this average worker role. And I do have a printout right here where the elected and appointed employees as of December 2012 by gender and ethnicity and all council members. This shows, obviously, you see what's here in this body. But then you go to full-time employees, whether they're elected or appointed, you're looking at 741 white males versus 188 white females. And then you go to other, you have 6 males who are in other code, and then 1 female who is described as an other. You look at the Hispanic population is 30 males, and there's 9 females. You're looking at black, African American, what have you. Males, it looks like it could be a little bit more than 30. It looks like about 40, perhaps, maybe 50. And it is reduced even more for a black female. The City of South Bend's full-time employee at December 31, 2012, and it's the pie chart, 84% are white. 1% is other, Hispanic is 3%, and black is 12%. And what I'm getting at is that if we're interested in growing and doing this as a priority, the numbers that I'm looking at, I'm spinning off right now, and this is not my statistical information, this comes directly from the city department, then these numbers that we're looking at right now will look a little bit different than what I'm saying. So we have a lot of work to do in order to correct, I guess, some of the fairness as it relates to employment here in the city, and also how we dole out contracts. It's not, and it never will be an equal situation, 50-50, but if the minority community makes up almost close to 50% of this community, the folks that are in the workforce for the city should be a lot higher than 15%. So we have to really look at what we're doing, and I'm not charging anyone with doing anything wrong, but what I am saying is the way we do a business has to change. We have a 12% unemployment rate here in the city of South Bend. It's higher than that, actually. It's like 12 point something. Neither here nor there. It's higher than the state average, and it's higher than the national average. When you get into the minority communities, it skyrockets. It's like 2 or 3 times that number. And so when you're dealing with that number, then you look at crime and poverty in those given areas, and obviously job gain is not anywhere to be found. It would suggest that we could potentially help slow those numbers down or pull them down by correcting what's here in the city's law, and also what we do here with this particular position. But we haven't done it. We haven't done it. The evidence is there. We have not done it. So I more rather not support this because I know we're not going to do it, because fool me once, fool me twice, shame on me. So what I would like to see is that we almost go back to the drawing board with this particular legislation, and that we adopt this state law, and we work with the outside agency to correct these numbers and make sure folks have an opportunity to get the work they're looking for, the work they're qualified to do.
Thank you, Councilman.
True.
Yes, thank you, Councilwoman Wright. I will say this, if we vote this bill down right now, it's still not going to add to the minority numbers, because in my conversations that we had a few years ago, the intent of this bill was not in terms of increasing employment within the city of South Bend's official roles. The intent of this bill was to help build businesses in the city of South Bend. That's a different set of issues. One is to help get more minority and women businesses, and then there's another discussion on do we need to increase the minority numbers, whether African American or Latino numbers within the city employment is another separate issue. Those are 2 separate issues. Do we need to increase the numbers of minority women in the city of South Bend? The answer to that is yes. And then we can look at the numbers as Councilman Davis was separate and shared a lot of those numbers. Those numbers, I think no one can in any way dispute. But this bill is looking at helping to deal with businesses and the growth of minority and women businesses. And so that's why today in the our discussion, I asked Mr. King, and Mr. King, can you come back to it, because I need to just reaffirm with the crowd and share with them on the record a question, just for one thing. I understand. I'm making my comment, but I want him to share it. I mean, just as a part of my comment. A part of my comment today, to just confirm, it was asked about the black women and where they would be rated in terms of, Councilwoman White said, not White, Shay wanted a list of women and minorities. So you can track that. You track how many businesses have grown that are minority business, how many women businesses have grown that are women. Women businesses and minority businesses. And what did you share with me today?
And I said that is correct, we do track that.
And you tracked. And how did you track African American women?
Count them both.
Count them both. That's all I needed you to share. So therefore, we are tracking this. And I see this as a progression moving forward. This is the first time that we are actually hiring somebody on staff, in the staff, to monitor the growth of minority businesses and the growth of women businesses. And in the case of African American women, they get counted both times, and that's if they double minority, not only here but across the nation. So we are moving forward, and I think this bill, with the triennial group that we've had, is the outside force that's working. And I would agree with anybody that said I expected more of that myself. But we are better off with this bill and helping to deal with minority and women businesses and passing it and keeping the pressure on us as a council, keeping the pressure on the administration as an executive body, and on our community to look at that. And so I'm all in favor of this bill because it moves us forward. Anything that helps us to move forward in then having more minority businesses in the city of South Bend with the diversity that we have here, that includes African American businesses, that includes the Latino businesses, that's all the different diversity businesses. Anything that helps us with that is great. Anything that helps us with improving women businesses in the city of South Bend is great. And so that's the nature of this bill. That's why I'm glad for us to have a person in staff to be able to monitor that. Mr. King has talked about they're going to do that, and I'm glad that we're going to move forward.
Thank you, Councilwoman Cruz. We'll now entertain a motion regarding substitute bill 23-13. Sorry.
I make a motion to, for the favorable, I make a motion to send Bill 2313, substitute Bill 2313 to the full council.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
This bill, substitute bill 23-13, will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Mr. Vorty, will you please give second reading to substitute bill 24-13?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the maximum salary and wages of certain non-bargaining employees of the City of South Bend for the calendar year 2013.
Is there a committee report?
Yes, Madam President, folks, the public hearing. We are ready to go.
23 and 24 could have been heard together.
Almost did.
All right. 2413 had a public hearing in Personnel Finance and Incomes Council with favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Do we have a petition? We do ask you to state your name and address and to give us a summary of substitute bill 24-13.
Mark Neal, City Controller, with offices on the 12th floor of this building. Substitute Bill 24-13 is a complementary to Bill 23-13, which we're setting the salary for the diversity compliance officer position, annual salary of $41,600 based on a 32-hour work week of $25 per hour.
Are there any questions, council members, you have a petition? Thank you. We now move to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone present wishing to speak to substitute bill 24-13? If so, we ask that you come to the podium. Okay. Seeing no one, is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition? Again, I see no one. Public hearing portion is now closed. Council members, what is your pleasure regarding substitute bill 24-13.
Was there help in this, inside of that, the job position?
It's in,
No, the first one was the appropriation.
No, I'm aware of
This is
that.
the creation of it.
I'm aware of that, but why they're eligible for health benefits.
Yes.
At 32?
Yes.
yeah, it's considered full-time.
Make
Okay,
a
is there
motion
a
to
motion?
send 2413 favorably to the council.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
The motion carries. Substitute Bill 24-13 will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Now, would, Mr. Gordy, would you please give second reading to Bill 25-13?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the maximum salary and wages of certain non-bargaining employees of the City of South Bend, Indiana for calendar year 2013.
I'm going to ask our council attorney to read the amendment version, which we would have to take action on.
There is a bill on file, so the motion would be to accept the substitute bill on file. for the city clerk.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion as read, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Is there a committee report?
Yes, the Public Works, no, the Personnel Finance Committee had a public hearing on Bill 2513, that the Comes Council with favorable recommendation.
Do we have a petitioner?
Mark Neal, City Controller. Will actually be two of us speaking on petitioning for substitute Bill 25-13. Substitute bill before you reflects an amendment in which we are requesting that the salary of the zoo veterinarian be increased to a maximum not to exceed $83,000. The basis for that change of that recommended salary level is consistent with EZA guidelines as we looked at their 2012 salary levels, and this would be a salary that would be approximately the mean and median, just below the mean and median salaries of 10 other AZA accredited institutions throughout the Midwest. The purpose of us bringing it forward today is that as we look to the operations of the zoo and recognize the quality of life that our zoo, Potawatomi Zoo, is for the benefit of all citizens of South Bend, as well as those who come to visit our city. It's important that we are able to attract and keep high-quality professionals that can allow us to run a first-class zoo operation. There's been a great deal of discussion